Why is she angry like this? It's not that deep.
Daniel wasn't a bad husband. In fact, if you ask the neighbors, they would say, that man, correct man, quiet, gentle, always doing his best. But everyone had one problem with him. Even the gatesman. Daniel could do everything except apologize. If you like, catch him red-handed. If you like, bring CCTV footage. He would rather adjust his belt, smile awkwardly, and say, let's just forget about it, than let the word sorry cross his lips. His wife, Sarah, had tried everything. Pep talks, calm discussions, emotional diary notes, even advice from married women prayer units. Yet Daniel's mouth remained locked like a padlock that had no key. The trouble started one Saturday morning. Sarah was cleaning the living room. Daniel was watching football with the kind of concentration surgeons have in the operating room. Then Sarah said, "Daniel, please can you put your cup in the sink?" Simple request. Daniel replied, "Can't you see I'm watching the match?" That one sentence entered Sarah's chest like needle and thread. She kept quiet, but her silence was loud. 2 hours later, Daniel finally realized she wasn't talking to him. He tried to pretend he didn't notice. He started doing small foolish things. He opened the fridge every 10 minutes. He walked around looking for what to fix. He even hummed loudly, hoping she would ask what's wrong. But Sarah didn't talk. Night came. They lay on the bed like two strangers waiting for separate Ubers. Daniel kept thinking, why is she angry like this? It's not that deep. But Sarah's heart was saying, if this man truly loves me, why is apology difficult? The distance between them became a wall built from a single word Daniel refused to say. And that was the first day Sarah whispered to herself, if he doesn't learn how to apologize, one day our home will break. The next morning, the house was quiet. Not peaceful quiet, tension quiet. The type of quiet that even the wall clock was afraid to tick too loudly. Sarah moved around the house with calm purpose. Daniel moved around the house with confused guilt. He wanted to talk, but he didn't know where to start. Saying sorry felt like carrying a 50 kg bag of cement on his tongue. So instead, he did his usual style, silent peace offering nonsense. First, he swept the compound, swept it so aggressively that even the sun looked confused. Sarah watched from the window and just shook her head. Second, he washed his car, not once, not twice, 3 times. At some point, even the car seemed tired of the unsolicited spa treatment. Third, he tried to make breakfast. Daniel, who had never fried eggs without turning them into scrambled disasters, confidently entered the kitchen. 10 minutes later, "Sarah," he called. No answer. "Babe," he tried again. Still nothing. He sighed, staring at the burnt eggs, burnt bread, and the kettle that was now screaming on the fire like it was calling for emergency rescue. Meanwhile, Sarah was in the living room pretending to focus on her phone. Deep down, she missed him. But she also knew something was breaking inside her. Something small but important. Respect. Not respect for him, respect for herself. Later that afternoon, Daniel walked past her for the 10th time, scratching his head like someone looking for lost money. Finally, he sat beside her, cleared his throat, and said the same thing men say when they can't apologize. "So, you are still angry?" Sarah slowly turned to him. "Daniel, I am not angry. I am hurt, and you don't know how to fix it." He swallowed. His chest tightened. He wasn't used to hearing her voice shake like that. "Sarah, this thing is not that serious," he muttered. That was the moment her heart dropped. Not because of what he said, but because it proved what she feared. Daniel didn't understand the weight of his words. She stood up gently, wiped her eyes, and whispered, "It's serious to me. That should be enough." And for the first time, Daniel felt fear. Not fear of losing an argument, fear of losing Sarah. The next week felt like a slow-motion movie. Daniel tried to act normal. Sarah tried to hold herself together. But the home didn't feel like a home anymore. It felt like a place where two people were trying not to bump into each other. Daniel still refused to say the one word Sarah needed. Instead, he kept doing gestures. He bought bread and eggs on his way home. He fixed the spoilt door handle. He even used YouTube to learn how to fold towels into hotel shapes. One evening, he laid one on the bed, a giant towel swan. Proud of himself, he waited for Sarah to smile. She didn't. She just looked at him like, "Are we in a hotel or a marriage?" Daniel felt something sting him inside his chest. Later that night, Sarah entered the bedroom with a small bag. Not a traveling bag, just a small bag big enough to scare any man. Daniel sat up immediately. "Sarah, where are you going?" She didn't shout. She didn't cry. Her calmness scared him more than any anger. "I'm going to stay with my sister for a few days," she said. Daniel's heart dropped to his stomach. "For what? What happened?" he asked, pretending not to know. She took a deep breath. "Daniel, I am not leaving because of the argument. I am leaving because of what came after. Your pride is hurting us. I talk, you don't listen. I feel pain, you feel nothing. I can't stay in a house where my feelings don't matter." Daniel stood there, frozen. He wanted to defend himself. He wanted to say, "But I tried." He wanted to bring up the car washing, the towel swan, the burnt breakfast. But in that moment, all those things looked stupid. None of them replaced, "I'm sorry." "Sarah," he whispered, but his voice cracked. She picked up her bag. Her eyes were wet, but she refused to let a tear fall. "I need air. I need peace. I need to feel valued." And she walked out. When the door closed, the silence that followed was the loudest Daniel had ever had. He sat on the edge of the bed, staring at nothing. For the first time in his life, pride didn't feel like strength. It felt like loneliness. And that night, Daniel whispered a truth he had never admitted out loud. "I'm losing her, and it's my fault." The house felt empty without Sarah. Not physically. Her shoes were still by the door. Her pillow was still on the bed, but the warmth she carried was gone. Daniel tried to sleep, but his mind refused to rest. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Sarah's face, the look of disappointment he tried so hard to hide. By morning, he knew he couldn't pretend anymore. He stood in front of the bathroom mirror, staring at himself. The reflection stared back, tired and ashamed. "Why is sorry so hard?" he muttered. Even the mirror didn't have an answer. He tried practicing. He stopped. Is my tongue glued?" he grumbled. He tried again. "I am so, he hissed and walked away. He felt foolish, a whole grown man, sweating just to apologize. Meanwhile, at Sarah's sister's house, things weren't easier. Sarah wasn't herself. She laughed at nothing, cried at everything, and barely ate. Her sister Mary looked at her one night and said gently, "Sarah, you love him." "I do," she whispered, "but love without apology becomes pain." Back at home, Daniel had reached his limit. He sat on the couch, thinking about their early days, how Sarah used to laugh at his dry jokes, how she held his hand during tough times, how she always prayed for him before work. He missed her. Not the "she's not here" kind of missing. The "my heart is empty" kind of missing. For the first time in his life, Daniel saw his pride clearly, an enemy wearing his face. Then he did something strange. He grabbed his phone and Googled, "How to apologize to your wife when you've messed up badly." The results made him shake his head, write a letter, cook her a meal, say it directly, apologize with sincerity. He muttered, "I've done everything except the main thing." Just then, he saw something that hit him. An apology isn't about admitting you are wrong. It's about valuing the relationship more than your ego. Daniel's heart tightened. That was it. That was exactly what Sarah had been begging for. At that moment, he made a decision, the kind that comes from deep regret and deep love. He grabbed his keys. He didn't rehearse the apology. He didn't overthink it. All he knew was this: if he didn't fight for his marriage now, he might lose Sarah forever. And Daniel was not ready for a life where Sarah was just a memory. Daniel didn't tell anyone where he was going. He didn't dress up. He didn't arrange rehearsed speeches in his head. He just drove. Every red light felt like punishment. Every bump on the road felt like the weight of his mistakes. When he finally reached Mary's house, his heart was beating like a generator that needed servicing. He stood outside the gate for a whole minute, breathing in and out like someone about to enter exam hall without reading. Then he knocked. Mary opened the door first. The moment she saw him, she folded her arms. "Daniel, what do you want?" she asked sharply. He swallowed. "Please, I want to see my wife." Mary raised a brow. "And say what? That she's overreacting? That she should come home and pretend nothing happened?" Daniel shook his head, voice shaking. "No, I came to apologize." Mary stared at him for a moment. Then she stepped aside. Inside the living room, Sarah sat quietly on the couch, holding a mug of tea, but not drinking it. Daniel walked slowly towards her. This was the closest he had ever been to breaking down. "Sarah," he began. His voice cracked. He cleared his throat and tried again. "Sarah, I'm sorry." Sarah blinked. She wasn't expecting it. He continued, the words finally flowing like a dam that had burst. "I'm sorry for hurting you. I'm sorry for making you feel invisible. I'm sorry for letting my pride come before your heart. I'm sorry for acting like your feelings didn't matter. They do. You do. More than anything." Sarah's eyes filled immediately, not with shock, with relief. Daniel wiped his own eyes and knelt beside her. "I was wrong. I've been wrong for a long time. And I'm ready to change, not because you left, but because I finally see how much I've taken your love for granted." Sarah broke. Tears escaped before she could stop them. "Daniel, I just needed you to care. I just needed you to listen. I needed to know my heart mattered." He took her hands gently. "It matters. I promise you, it matters." For the first time in weeks, they held each other. Not like husband and wife fixing an argument, but like two people choosing each other all over again. Later that evening, as they drove home together, Daniel reached for her hand. "Babe," he said softly. "Yes." He smiled. "Just checking. If I allow you tomorrow, I'm ready to say sorry in advance." Sarah laughed, a real, warm, healing laugh. And that was the day Daniel finally learned that a marriage doesn't break because of mistakes. It breaks when pride makes you too big to say "I'm sorry." But their home didn't break. Love won, humility restored, peace returned, and Daniel never let the word sorry get stuck in his throat again. Thanks for watching. If this story touched you, comment "Sorry matters." Share this with someone who needs this message today.